Welcome to the Create Today podcast. This show is all about how you can create the life that you want one day at a time. I'm your host, Karen Stanley, and my beautiful, amazing guest, Kristen Keogh, is with us today.
Hello.
Kristen is a lot of amazing things. She's a mama to a beautiful little boy, and he's 3?
He will be 3 soon.
Aww.
He's
He's
acting
so
3.
Cute.
He's the cutest, but he's acting 3. You're a mom. You know what that means.
Mm-hmm. Good luck.
Mm-hmm. It's happening.
Just good luck for the rest of your life. And she's a content creator, social media influencer, formal journalist, and host. So she's so super incredibly talented. And her journey has been nothing but rosy and rainbows. And it's why I really am excited for her to share. She's been through a lot of shit.
Yeah, a lot of shit.
And which ultimately led her to create the life that she's always wanted.
Yeah.
Maybe you never knew you wanted this. Maybe
No, I
always
didn't know. No, in fact, I didn't know I wanted to be a mom. If you would have asked me even 4 years ago with an almost 3-year-old, if that paints the picture, if I wanted to be a mom, I would say probably not. I was actually told I would have a really hard time conceiving and probably would never be a mom. And I'm the kind of person that just kind of, I'm going to roll with it. I'm going to trust God's plan for my life. And so I didn't get too attached to it. And then you can guess what happened. I have a kid now. So.
Oopsie daisies.
Yeah.
And you say over and over and over is the best thing that ever happened.
Oh my gosh, thank God. I had no idea what I was missing out on. I love being a mom more than I've ever loved any other aspect of my life.
Same.
Yeah, it's the best.
Oh my gosh. Let's talk about what your life looks like now.
Okay.
Let's paint the picture of the life you have created through this entire journey.
Okay, I would say my life is very dreamy. And I say that because, it was chaos before when I was working in news. Terrible hours. I was working multiple jobs, in news, also hosting for sports teams, working so many hours, missing out on so much of the beauty in life.
All of your friends, like birthdays,
and
bachelorette parties.
I missed out on everything. Yeah. All of the birthday parties, all the weddings, all the bachelorette parties, all the baby showers, because I had one job where if you didn't request it a year in advance, you were never going to get an opportunity to take certain time off. So if anybody had anything important and any important celebrations come up, it was automatically, if I didn't already have that day off as part of my schedule, I wasn't going. So now, completely opposite. Most days I wake up, I don't even set an alarm. My little guy wakes me up and I get to spend time with him. I plan my life around him, around my relationship, around time with my family and quality time with my friends as well. And I know that you and I are very similar in that we like to be the caretaker in the home. We like the cooking. We like the laundry. We like the aspects of being mama.
People are probably surprised by that. They're surprised with both of us.
Yeah, because we're both very ambitious career women.
Oh, yeah.
But I
love taking care of my home and my family.
Yeah, I love making people feel loved. And so that's really my priority in my life now. I love my career. I love the things that I get to do, but it's so different because now I get to say yes to certain opportunities, no to opportunities that don't feel right or that I don't have time for or that are going to stress me out. And that is true freedom.
It is. And what's so cool is the stark contrast to what your life was like in your early 20s, where you felt pressured to say yes to everything. You had to.
I really did. I felt like I was the biggest people pleaser, especially in my career. I would say yes to anything because I just wanted to climb the ladder and I didn't want to be, someone who seemed negative or unwilling. And it takes a lot to make it in journalism. You have to move across the country to a small market. You have to work terrible hours for very little money. And I meet a lot of people now who they find out that I was a sports reporter, that I was a weather forecaster. And they're like, oh, I always wanted to do that. But, then I found out I'd have to move to a small city and I didn't want to do that. And I'm like, well, I didn't want to do it either. But damn, I'm glad I did because that laid the foundation for everything that has happened for me, which we'll talk about are some bad things, but also, the really good things that I get to experience now.
Growing up, always think you wanted to be on television or do journalism? Or
I knew I wanted to.
You did?
I was drawn to acting. So I was a child actor.
What was your first role?
So I didn't land a whole lot as a kid. So I'm going to be honest with you. I got really, really bad acne. And there were times I would go into auditions and they would say, your acne's so bad, we're not even going to audition you.
That's what makeup is for.
Oh man, it messed me up. But yeah, I got parts as like extras. And then when I was in college, then I started getting real roles. And so my acting career took off in my 20s. Well, took off. It never took off. But I have a legitimate paid actor resume, and the real roles came in my 20s. Yeah, but being in that environment, I did a lot of modeling as a teenager. And then the acne crept in, and that was rough.
You know, there's so many things that are rough about the modeling industry, and you had a really hard time. It messes up your self-esteem.
Yeah, and I have struggled many times in my life with body dysmorphia, and I've never talked about it publicly before, but I became bulimic when I was a teenager.
Gosh, what is the like that moment, that triggered it the first time?
It was, for me, it's really easy for me to remember the exact feelings that it stirred up in me. It was all of the content in the magazines. The magazines that said you should have a thigh gap and that you should work on your abs, and this is what men want, and these are how many calories you should be eating, and this is, the kind of exercise routine you should be doing. And all of these messages being on magazine covers when I'm at the grocery store with my mom buying food, and just that mixed message of, okay, here's the food we're getting, but I know I shouldn't be having that because I'm supposed to have skinny thighs and abs. And that kind of content, it made it so that when I did eat, I felt like I was disgusting. I truly felt so gross. I felt like I shouldn't have eaten that. That was bad. Now I'm going to get fat. And those magazines conditioned you to think that the worst thing in the world would be to be fat.
I know.
Like, that's all that matters, is that you're not fat.
Not even fat, just to not have a gap between your two thighs.
Which is crazy. It's not even like anatomically possible for me.
No, it's not anatomically possible for anybody who's not starving themselves.
It's crazy that those are the messages that we're putting out there, and it wasn't, it was in like just out in the open there, for any of these messages to hit anyone. And as a teen girl, I think with or without modeling, but especially with that kind of pressure on me, with the career I was pursuing, it's just so harmful to inundate people with those types of messages. And it truly made me believe that what mattered most about me was what my body looked like. And that's where it came from. I thought there was a correlation between my value and how thin I was.
Yeah, ditto. I think every woman listening can relate to that on some level. And, it makes me wonder who is really behind those magazines. Is it really the plastic surgery industry? Because you think about it.
Who knows?
If we loved ourselves the way that we were, we wouldn't buy any of that shit.
Yeah.
We wouldn't buy the magazines. We wouldn't buy diet pills. We wouldn't do plastic surgery. We wouldn't do Botox.
Yeah.
It's the only chance that they have is to make us feel like we're not good enough. And we're not pretty enough. We're not skinny enough.
And to show us fake images of people. With now with AI, I'm so scared about what young girls are going to see. There are, we already have filters, but this is going to really amp that up. And I think so much of what we're seeing now, I think this generation's battle is going to be, ours was against those messages. I think theirs is going to be already is, fake images. Right.
Yeah.
And just those horrifying comparisons that we can imagine young girls are making to images that are not even real. I mean, there was Photoshop in the things that we saw too. But I really do think that the inundation of how many images there are, how accessible it is, it's just in their faces. It's really scary to me.
So you're 14?
13, 14
years
junior
old.
high when I started being bulimic.
One day you ate And you decided to throw up.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact moment, but I can remember the feelings.
Yeah, and just horrifying.
And I felt like if I ate anything that was like a treat, or even if I ate too much, even if it wasn't a bad food, if I felt like I'd had too many calories, they really shoved calories down our throat in those magazines, calorie counting. And so for me, it was a lot about, oh my gosh, if I had too many calories, I'm going to gain weight. And I'm not going to be skinny anymore. And oh my gosh, that would just be the worst thing that could happen to me.
And they were probably pushing something like 1,200 or something like that.
Oh, something like crazy. I remember specifically one of the magazines was like documenting how this woman was saying that when she has a boyfriend, she cut her calories to like 700 a day. But when she was single, she would have more calories. But to hold on to her boyfriend, she would cut calories. Like that like went into my brain. And as a teenage girl, I was like, oh, I guess like if I ever want to be loved, like I need to make sure that I'm watching my calories. That is insane.
It's insane.
But I was impressionable and I didn't know that that wasn't the way it was supposed to be. But I remember that specifically really sticking with me. And how scary is that?
So you need to adjust your caloric intake in order to be loved by a man.
Yes, your worthiness of love is directly correlated to your calorie intake. Yeah,
to the number on the scale.
It's sick.
It is sick. It's so sad. And how did you recover? Like, what happened? Like, somebody's going through that right now, and they're probably hiding it. Like, did you have someone to talk to? Like,
I didn't talk to anyone. Again, I said until right now, I've never talked about it publicly. I would say very few people in my life even know that I ever went through that. Did you feel ashamed? I didn't. I actually felt like it was what I was supposed to be doing.
No way.
Yeah, I felt like as long as I was not letting those calories stay in my body, that was the right thing.
Skinny is all that matters.
Whatever it took. Yeah. When I was in college, it stopped, and that is because I actually felt self-worth in another area other than what I look like because I was such a high-achieving student, and I was very, very good at getting A's, and
awesome.
I was just very studious, and I was really focused on my future and where that education was going to take me. So because I was succeeding in that realm, I didn't feel the need to place all my value on what I looked like anymore. So, that's the advice is focus on the areas where you love yourself, focus on the things that make you feel accomplished and feel satisfied with yourself and dig into those. But for me, it did come back in my 20s. I did start to feel that way again. I don't know if it's because I was on TV. I don't know if it's, maybe it's because I was dating people and that kind of connection of like, from that story.
That belief.
Yeah. I just felt like my body was getting away from me and I was probably like a size 0 and I felt that way and I started doing it again. Until some other things happened in my life and I discovered the outdoors and the outdoors, my love for hiking and camping and paddleboarding and just generally being outside enjoying nature is the number one factor in getting over any of the hard parts of my life. But with the body dysmorphia, with the bulimia, being able to focus on what your body can do, where your body can take you, what your body can accomplish, help you accomplish your goals, your dreams, the places you want to see, the things you want to do. Focusing on that really makes you care less about what it looks like. And you're not using your body for other people. You don't care to satisfy the male gaze. You don't care to look like the models in the magazines. You care about how your body is helping you live your life and give life as a mom. And that has changed me and it's made me feel like I don't have to care for these external factors. I care about my body for me. And even with my health, I love to eat all the foods.
Me Me too.
I really do. And whenever I realize like, okay, I love Diet Coke. I'm like, okay, I'm having a lot of Diet Coke lately, or I'm having a lot of sugar lately. I don't have those moments anymore where I feel disgusted with myself. I don't have that. What I do have is I know the life I want to live. I know the types of things I want to be able to do and accomplish. Will consuming these things take me farther from that? You know, I want to have more babies. Is this going to affect my fertility? I want to continue hiking until I'm 80. Same. You know, are these things going to hinder that for me? I don't love working out. I love hiking, but I don't love working out. And when I think about working out and not wanting to, I remind myself the things you want to do out there, it's 118. You can't go do those things right now. So what are you going to do in the gym that's going to make it so that you're going to continue to do this? Like, I have to maintain it in ways that aren't as fun for me when it's so hot because we live in Phoenix. But my motivation comes from what I want to be able to do, not for what I want to look like.
For other people.
For other people.
It was never about you anyway. And I wanted to reiterate that. And I can't remember who said this first, but one of my favorite sayings about bodies is that they're an instrument, not an ornament. Isn't that brilliant?
Yeah, because as women, we are treated like it's an ornament.
What we can do for us.
Yeah.
And not what we look like for somebody else.
Yeah.
It's like that song, all the women are dressed up for each other. It's so true.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Crazy.
But it feels very freeing though, to be rid of those feelings.
Yeah.
And it's been like a decade since I've experienced any of those feelings. So.
Well, good, because we're going to talk about that decade and talk about what are the steps that you really went through to get there. It's not an overnight process, and for almost nobody, it's not just one day I'm gonna. Well, and I love myself now, So it's just it's been so many things,
and so many things are going to happen. Life is going to keep coming at you.
Yep. You're gonna still have triggers that make you feel bad, or sad.
Self-worth is always going to be a battle. I think for most of us.
Yeah, I think it's just a lifelong journey.
Yeah.
Although I feel like maybe only a battle until you're about 50. I'm about 50.
I love to hear that.
Because I'm like, wow, I feel so much different now.
I hear a lot of people say that too.
I really do.
I'm really happy to hear that.
Yeah, I'm like not the skinniest I've ever been. I don't need to be the skinniest I've ever been. I used to focus on the same thing.
Well, you look amazing, though, to be clear.
Just
to be clear.
But I have been thinner and more fit in my life. And at whatever point here and there, and just like, wow, I just finally feel different. So
good.
It does. Good. It does happen with age. It can happen with age. I think a lot of people still die and they've never thought they were skinny, never loved themselves.
They've never felt like it was good enough.
The most beautiful, gorgeous, most thinnest people on the planet usually hate themselves the most.
Oh yeah.
So back to you. What was your first? I know you went to a really small town. I can't remember what little small town.
Okay.
Like your first, journalism,
after
you graduated from college.
Yeah, after college, we mentioned like people don't typically want to go to the small town to get their boots on the ground and get that first experience in the industry. I went to Dayton, Ohio.
That's right.
I was freezing. And so my journey was to be a sports reporter. So I went to college to become a politician. I was a political science major, and I wanted to be a politician. But what happened in college was I had always loved sports, and my dad was very passionate about Valley sports. I have 3 brothers. They didn't care. I did. So I was dad's sports buddy.
Tomboy buddy.
Yeah. And
that's awesome.
So the Diamondbacks were holding auditions at ASU, where I went to college, and it was auditions for an entertainment team called the Rallybacks. They'd never had anything like this before. Okay. Not cheerleaders, but like a promo team. The people throwing T-shirts, fun. Those people. Yeah. The people doing the games.
I didn't know they had a name.
The Rallybacks. So I was the first ever Rallyback team. I was on the first ever Rallyback team, so that dates me a little bit. But what happened was I was terrified to. I was terrified to audition because I was really just insecure.
Yeah.
And that probably seems crazy because I've had an entire TV career now under my belt, but I was so insecure. I didn't want to audition. And I was in a sorority, and one of my sorority suite mates had auditioned. And so I snuck into her room, and I looked at the paper that she picked up at auditions, and I saw an email address, and I emailed it. And I was like, hey, I didn't audition. I didn't have time because I had a test to go take.
Yeah. Friend's computer.
So
MBD.
I made up this story, and then I was like, but I'm such a passionate sports fan. Like, I know I'm perfect for this. So they invited me down to Chase Field. I don't know why to this day they did that, but they did. They must have been looking for like one more, and they hired me on the spot.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it changed my life because I knew I wanted to work in a sports environment, and I thought, how can I do that?
Yeah.
And sports journalism was the way. So when I went to Dayton, it was to be a sports reporter. And then almost immediately, like within a week, they were like, you know what? We're launching a 4:30 a.m. show. We're going to have you anchor it. I was not good, Karen. I should not have been given that opportunity. I was
there how long?
Terrible. I had only been there for like a week.
1 week.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was so bad, but they just needed someone to do it, and I think they were like, okay, well, we have her. It's at 4:30 a.m. Who's watching anyways, maybe, you know.
I remember when they added 4:30 a.m. news.
I know,
I'm like, seriously,
I
people,
know.
is this really necessary?
Now they're going to like noon, 11 too.
Oh my God. They have so, it's like news 24.
It's all over. But yeah, in Dayton,
Watches.
it was crazy that, you know, we talked about the crazy hours. Oh man, I was still doing sports. So I would do the morning show. I would anchor from 4:30 to 5. It was a duopoly. The station had 2 stations in one. And so 2 affiliates, 1 station, like operating as one with the same staff and crew and everything, but then broadcasting. So those hours were so long because we were broadcasting on 2 channels. And so I had 4:30 to 5 a.m. anchoring, and then they would send me out into the field for hours to do live reporting. So I'm like 22. I got like my Garmin GPS. Sometimes I'm like printing out a MapQuest, like going around Ohio in the dark, in the snow, like trying to find my way, doing these live shots, reporting on a place I knew nothing about. And I figured it out. I mean, I will tell you this about journalists have a lot of grit. It takes a lot of grit to go through this.
And it can be dangerous too, right?
Oh yeah. So
you're like alone.
And one of the, it's the story's so sad, but one of the scariest positions I've ever been in was when I was covering news in the mornings. A case was developing where this woman went missing. She was a young woman, like early 20s, and I remember she had a little boy. Her name was Tiffany. And the parents were very adamant about getting this story out. So they were inviting us over for interviews. They wanted the daughter found. It was her mom and the stepdad. And they wanted this girl found. So they were so cooperative with the media because they knew the power of that and possibly bringing Tiffany back home. Well, we had gone to the house of the parents to do interviews. You know, the police were there. We were there. We'd interviewed the mom, the stepdad multiple times. And it turned out that the stepdad had murdered her and her body was chopped up and in that house under a stack of wood that we were in.
You were there.
Yeah.
Oh my God. When did they find out? How long did it take?
While we were still covering the story, it was like within 2 weeks of the story breaking. Yeah, it was insane. It was so sad and so disturbing. He actually ended up like kidnapping these elderly people, and I remember it was Valentine's Day when we found out that he was the suspect, and he kidnapped this elderly couple and drove them like partially across the country. And I just remember it was like I had hit my time off as this story was developing. It was my weekend, and I remember it was Valentine's Day and like crying all day on Valentine's Day because I was so distraught over this story. And it was no doubt it was so disturbing that we were in contact with this man that was the suspect who had invited us into his home where the body was. And yeah, it was so disturbing.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
What did your parents say after that?
Oh, I
Are
didn't
they
even
freaking out.
I don't think I even told them. They didn't want me to go. They are so protective of me. I have the best parents in the world.
Aww.
I really do.
You just didn't tell them.
I think I just didn't tell them because I knew it would stress them out.
It probably was on national news at some point. Maybe.
Yeah, it was, but I don't think they knew
Hopefully
exactly
they
my level
Sorry,
of
Mom.
involvement.
She's okay. She's
I'm
all
okay
right.
now. Yeah, it's like after I go on a big dangerous hike, I send my mom a bunch of pictures when I get down.
Okay.
It's kind of the same thing.
Aw, that's so cute.
Yeah.
I hope my kids do that when they leave me.
Oh, I'm sure they
So
will.
sweet.
I'm sure they will.
You never stop worrying. Just
Well,
FYI.
it's super sweet. My mom does not like the kind of hiking that I do. I do some pretty extreme hiking, but sometimes she'll look at the pictures and she'll be like, I just hope you know you are such a brave woman. It takes so much courage to do these things. And
Aw.
yeah, it's really sweet. Yeah, she's the best.
So sweet.
Yeah.
So you tried to get out of Dayton as soon as possible, right?
Oh yeah, it was it was I remember it was like the end of May and the forecast was going to be a high of 42 and I was like, get me out of here. I called my agent. I was like, I can't do it. Although right now in Phoenix, we're in like a record breaking heat wave and 42 sounds
literally
so
is going to
nice.
be 118, I think, today.
And then 116 and then 117 and then 117.
It's the perfect time
hit
to
the
go to
repeat
Coronado.
button. Yeah. Yes.
2 more days.
Yes. I'm
Bye-bye.
so happy for you.
I can't wait. So did I tell you that my dad got stationed in Dayton, Ohio? I can't remember if I told you that.
Yes.
Did I?
We've talked about this and he pulled strings to get out.
Pulled every string he could.
I'm so
to
happy
get
for
out
you.
of that and go to San Antonio.
Oh
So that's
my
where we
gosh.
ended up.
Well,
So good job, Dad.
I'm very happy for you.
I know.
Yeah. Thanks,
I don't
Dad.
know how he did it. Once you get stationed, you get stationed. You don't really usually have any say in it, really. But so I don't know what he did, but
Yeah.
he was a champion.
Good
Otherwise,
for
I
him.
would have been from Dayton and graduated from high school in Dayton. Instead, I'm Texan.
You would have been so cold, Karen.
I would have hated it. I'm just like my dad. I hate cold weather.
Yeah.
That's why I live in
It's
Arizona.
brutal. Yep. Me too. Me too.
Oh my gosh. So how did you get out?
So, my college professor actually told me when I went to Dayton, he was like, make sure you have a top 20 out in that contract. And I was like, I don't even know what that means. So, a top 20 would mean a top 20 market in the country, one of the top biggest cities with the more dense populations in the country.
If you get an offer.
So if I were to get an offer from a top 20 market after 1 year, I could leave and leave the contract early without anything
Brilliant.
damaging happening to the rest of my career.
Brilliant.
And I was like, no one in their right mind is going to hire me in a top 20 market. They did. I got a job in Phoenix after 15 months in Dayton. I was 23 and I was anchoring in this huge market. Similar story. They hired me as a reporter and then slowly, actually not that slowly, it was like within 4 to 5 months, they started having me anchor. And then ultimately they had me start doing weather, which is where my career really took a positive turn. Of everything that I did, I do still miss doing the weather. It was so much fun. Yeah, because of the sense of community. You know, like right now we're in this heat wave and it's all anybody's talking about. And it really does, like a bad sports team brings people together, you know? It's kind of like that. Tough weather brings people together. Or, you know, it's just, weather's the easiest conversation starter in the world, right? And so it's just something that everyone has in common, and
we're all miserable and dying.
Right. But you know, it just helped with the sense of community, which is why I became a journalist.
You actually created the community too, didn't you?
Yeah. So one of the stations that I worked at, I always was a little bit of an early adopter of social media.
Yeah.
And I introduced this idea that we would have people from around Arizona submit their weather photos so that we could share them on the news, and so that they were telling us about the weather where they live and being a part of the newscast, because
that's such a great idea.
That's what always made the job fun for me. And then when I started doing sports more and more in Phoenix as well, I didn't just interview the players. You know, I was out with the fans. I was taking opportunities to connect with fans. I mean, some of my favorite things I own are like, I have like a Cardinals beaded bracelet that a fan made me and gave me before I did an interview with one of the Cardinals players, or like just, you know, different pictures that I have with fans, and that aspect of it. I loved sports and I loved that environment because of how it brought people together. And weather really did that too in its own way. And those are the pieces of that career that I treasure, and I always will.
Yeah. How long were you in Phoenix before you headed on to your next adventure?
So I was in Phoenix for 3 years, 2011 to 2014. And during that time is when the worst thing that ever happened in my life happened to me. And it was devastating, especially because I had made my dreams come true, being an anchor in my hometown. I was also in a wonderful relationship. I was engaged to a professional baseball player who I was really in love with. And, my life was pretty much perfect. And I got diagnosed with a horrible chronic pain disorder. And so I was 23, almost 24. So I just, got the weekend anchor position in Phoenix, and I started getting this pain that felt like a urinary tract infection. If you haven't had a urinary tract infection, it feels like your urethra is on fire and like you're being stabbed when you pee. And after,
so painful.
It's literally the worst feeling. And so I remember thinking, I have a UTI. I'd had that before and called my doctor and just said, hey, can I get antibiotics? And I took antibiotics. It didn't go away. I ended up going to, world-renowned Mayo Clinic's emergency department because I'm in so much pain. I had to leave work from reporting because it felt like I was being stabbed. I was worried something was really, really wrong. Yeah. And it was crazy being in that much pain and being told, we don't see what's wrong with you. And so I had this amazing doctor who, he was so empathetic. He was so compassionate. He was like, I can see you are in horrible pain and I can't fix it. And so all they could do was give me painkillers. So it turned out that I have a disorder called interstitial cystitis. There's a few different theories on how it actually develops. The most common theory is that it's an autoimmune disorder where like you get a UTI at some point and then your body attacks itself and damages the entire bladder and urethral lining. But no one is actually even sure of that.
Wow.
It's a very misunderstood disorder. Primarily women have it, but
really rare.
It's actually becoming starting in a startling way. It's becoming pretty common.
That's scary.
And more men are getting it now too. But there is on the flip side, there's more research being done on it.
I wonder if it's stress related.
I don't know.
Is it?
I know for me personally, hormones seem to play a big part in it. It would be worse around my menstrual days, and then pregnancy being pregnant helped it.
Oh, it was better.
There was like an initial hormone crash where it was worse, but since my pregnancy, I have not had really any issues.
Thank God.
But when I was going through that, I could barely hold on to this job. I get my dream job. I could barely hold on to the job. I was having to take opiates. And
how could you even function on those? I've only taken them one time after like a staph infection procedure.
I think I just didn't have a choice, and I knew that, and so I just kept it together. But
did you feel like high all the time?
I felt giddy.
Okay.
I felt like giddy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you could do your job.
I could do my job, but there had to have been times when I seemed like drunk or something. There had to have been.
Do you have any video of that?
I mean,
I want to see it now. I'm just kidding.
I definitely, needed
somewhere,
them to get through my life.
Yeah.
And, one of the things that I thank God for is that I don't have an addictive personality and I wasn't susceptible to getting addicted. I don't know much about addiction, so if I misspeak here, I don't want to offend anyone, but I didn't ever get addicted to them. And if anyone was going to get addicted, it would have been me. I had like an endless supply of them. It was OxyContin. It was Percocet. It was
all day. You had to take them multiple times a day.
Yeah,
just to keep the pain.
Yeah.
Away.
Well, in fact, they would say take the OxyContin and then supplement it with the Percocet if you still feel pain.
Both.
I don't remember if I ever did take both. I think it kind of scared me. I'm a tiny person. Having all those drugs, I think, scared me. But I mean, the pain didn't even fully go away.
Doesn't even go
That's
away.
how crazy
Just makes
painful
it dull.
it was. It just dulled it. And I
Yep.
think that it must have impacted my mental state enough that I could function. But I was also getting all these procedures done. I had to self-catheter at work.
Ouch.
Yeah. And then I got scar tissue from the catheters, had to have that cut out, procedures for that, cystoscopies, different things that they would try to do to my bladder to alleviate the pain. And then I was going under regularly to have nerve blocks done on the nerve that's closest to that pelvic area. And I'm just this 23 to 25-year-old girl during this time.
Oh, my gosh.
So I couldn't continue doing that high-powered job. When my contract was up, I parted. And right after that, my relationship fell apart too. And I had a complete identity crisis because I was the news anchor who was engaged to the baseball player. Like, that's who I am.
Right.
So that was...
You attached your identity.
All of my worth at that point, was then tied up in who I was dating and what I was doing for a job. I didn't know who I was at all. And so I hit a low point. Plus, I was still in pain. It was hell. It was hell. I mean, I got out of bed and would stumble to the shower and cry in the shower listening to self-help books. Like it was the so lowest.
Young. I mean, I have kids that are that age. Like they're just babies still.
Yeah. And I mean, I have a great family. I have a great support system, but nobody can help you but you. Yeah. You have to be your own health advocate, and you have to choose to fight through that. And it was very hard to make that choice to pick myself up.
It's so hard. So what happened after that?
So
after you left the Phoenix station.
I had no job, and I ended up getting an incredible job and following through with that political plan that I had to a certain degree.
That's right.
I became the press secretary for the Arizona Attorney General's office, and I worked under Mark Brnovich. Yeah. And Mark Brnovich was the most empathetic, kindest person that you could have. The whole team, the whole executive staff was so caring about my condition. And they would arrange my schedule so that I could get my work done and go in for a procedure on a Friday before a holiday weekend. Because, in government, you have a lot of Mondays off.
That's true.
So I could look at the calendar and see when we were going to have days off on a Monday. And I could go get a procedure done on a Friday with my PTO, getting my work done ahead, and be ready to go back to work on Tuesday. And they were so wonderful about it. We would plan trips where I had to go to Washington, D.C. regularly, and they would check with me. It makes me emotional thinking that somebody cared about me that much. Like it was that administration was so wonderful. And especially after coming from news where nobody cared. It was like in news, they were like, well, you look fine. Yep. You look fine. So go do your job and suck it up. How you look fine. So go get the job done. So to go from that environment to an environment where people were genuinely concerned that I was in pain and wanting me to not be in pain, it was really kind of a life-changing moment to have an employer that cared.
Weird.
Yeah. I was like, are you sure?
What's happening?
Are you sure? But then I went back to news after that. So I missed
vacation's over.
I missed it. I know. It's like a toxic relationship. It truly is. A toxic job has the same mental effect as a toxic relationship. So
100%.
I missed it, and I went back to news. This time I went to San Diego to be a weather forecaster. Right. And it was a cool job. Like, who doesn't want to be the weather lady in San Diego?
I'm going to be there soon. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, and it was so much fun.
Funny because the weather's the same every day all
I know.
year.
I knew you were going to say that. And what I would like to point out is that it is not that easy. I once forecasted a tornado there, Karen. And it's very time consuming because when you are forecasting in Southern California, you have 4 microclimates. So So you have the coast, your inland communities,
That's true.
your mountains, and your desert. So it's very time consuming.
Okay,
and
I'll give you that.
You got to make sure everybody's getting their love, and you only have 90 seconds. You know, and there were some like radical thunderstorms in San Diego. So it was kind of fun to have more rain. After coming from Phoenix.
Humidity in the air. It's so good for your skin.
And people were so hung up on the marine layer. When's the marine layer going to burn off? When's the marine layer going to burn off?
Oh. And, then it would not.
In like May gray and June gloom. Yeah. So that was a big high pressure part of that San Diego job, Karen.
That's great. How did you do it?
When can we surf in the sunshine?
Oh my gosh, it's so much pressure. I was always making fun of her. Today is 78 and sunny, kids.
Yeah, and it really was. People say 75 typically, but 78 is more like it.
Literally 78 and sunny every day.
Oh gosh, that sounds so nice.
I know, I can't wait.
I actually saw an Instagram memory popped up from this week in San Diego, and it was a screenshot of me forecasting a warming trend. You want to know what the warming trend was? It was going to be 80s coastal and 90s inland. Meanwhile, we're looking at 118 in Phoenix. I'm like, oh, why did I leave?
And everyone freaks out if it gets over 80. They're dying. Everybody's dying if it's 82.
Yeah.
So funny. Like, you just get used to it. Yeah. But it's my poor family from Idaho. They like when they come down for spring break, they're dying.
Oh yeah.
Like it's so
95
hot.
or
like
90
spring break, like 80. Like, you know, like
oh yeah.
Beautiful February, March is 80.
Oh yeah, 85. Spring break's earlier than when I associate spring break with like my spring break as a kid, which was like
it was later.
Oh
okay. Yeah. Ours are always beginning of March or whatever, but anyways, okay. So you're still there. Now you're alone. Oh yeah, you love your job and you love but you're still in pain. You're still alone.
Yeah. And what was really awful about my decision to take that job was that like 3 or 4 months in, I was right back in pain. Like horrible pain. It had been like kind of under control to the point where I felt like I could take that job. And then I was right back in pain and I was so desperate for help. But I will say this journey, this health journey that I had to go on, it is the worst thing that's ever happened to me, but I have experienced so many miracles, and I would not classify them as anything but a miracle. When I experienced that pain again, I called like the first number on my insurance recommended doctors, and this name popped up, Dr. Parsons, and I called the office and they're like, well, we can't get you in for like 6 to 8 weeks. And I'm like, okay, well, like, I guess I'll take what I can get. And they're, you know, taking my information. And the guy on the phone is like, wait, did you say you're Kristen Keogh? Like from the news, like the weather lady? And you guys, I don't ever pull the like, do you know who I am crap. Like nothing like that would ever come out of my mouth. But when he was like, I think I can get you in sooner, I did not protest it. He got me in that week. And I was sitting in a doctor's office with one of the leading researchers, leading specialists in the country on IC, someone who actually knew what I was talking about. I had gone years with doctors that didn't even know what I was talking about.
None of them did.
And this guy was like, oh yeah, this lines up with this, and did you take this medication? I want to recommend that you take it like this instead. This is what you need to do. Like had an actual protocol and changed my life. He put me on a medication I had taken before and told me to take it a different way. And with it took 4 months. It had to rebuild my bladder and urethral lining.
Wow.
And it worked. Wow. And I was like 80% better from that, 80% better from that. And in the meantime, while my bladder lining is like being rebuilt and the medication isn't kicked in fully yet, I had a like dermatological procedure done on my face, like a laser or something. And I had a really bad reaction to it. And I called the dermatologist and I was like, holy shit, it feels like someone is scraping shards of glass on my face. Like, what do we do about this? And they were like, okay, we're going to prescribe this drug for you, gabapentin. I'm like, I don't care what the hell you give me. Yep. They're like, well, it's going to take a few days to work, but just start taking it. So I start taking it. The pain subsides, and I go to pee, and it doesn't hurt to pee for the first time in literal years. And I call the urologist office, and I'm like, hey, I'm taking this drug, and this is the first time I've like not had any pain urinating in years. And they were like, oh, we used to give that to IC patients to treat them, but it only worked in 2% of people, so we stopped handing it out like that. And I was like, okay, I'm the 2%. Sign me up. Like, give me what I need.
Oh my gosh.
And at this point, I'm not taking the opioids anymore. I'm not doing that anymore. So there was no like cloud of judgment or anything in what was helping me. Yeah, it was that medication, and it worked for me, and I still take it. I'll take it for the rest of my life. I'm very grateful for that medication. I'm a huge believer in doing things a natural way when you can, but when you can't, the medication is there for you. I also did do acupuncture in San Diego. We found some pressure points in my leg that would relieve the pain in my pelvis, because it's our bodies are so connected. The pelvic pain, there would be pelvic pain that came from your urethra being in pain. When your body's in this hyper state of pain, your muscles, your whole nervous system reacts to that. And so I was doing holistic therapies as well. I was taking herbs. I was doing everything. And I have never fought as hard for anything as I have fought for my health and for the life that I get to live, because I was not willing to sit back and say, this is going to be my life. I wasn't going to give up. I never got down to that point for too long. You go there, but I brought myself back up, and moving to San Diego was me saying, okay, I'm not throwing in the towel. So it was really defeating to feel the pain again, but it led me to that miracle of the right doctor, the right treatment, the homeopathic doctors who helped me. It was just really a turning point where I got my life back.
And then you decided to come back home.
Yeah, so San Diego, they call it Neverland. You'll hear a lot of people say San Diego's Neverland.
I had never heard that before.
Oh my gosh. Well, if you are in your 20s or 30s, it's like no one wants to grow up. No one wants to commit. Like everybody lives with roommates, which there's nothing wrong with that. I just want to be clear. It's just that's the lifestyle you choose when you live there. Yeah, you can't.
There's no way.
Especially, I was making like $75,000 a year being on the news, and I had a roommate, and it was like pennies in that market.
I know.
Yeah. I was like, I'm never going to be able to buy a house here. The dating pool, everybody's just having fun. I was like, I'm never going to find like a real partner here. So I decided to come back to Phoenix, and I stayed in news. I took a job as a reporter once again, very quickly before I even went on air. They were like, we're going to have you do weather. And I was like, hell yeah. Like I want to do weather. That's my passion. But there was a hiccup at the start of that job, in the transition from San Diego to Phoenix again. I went through like a shitstorm that I didn't expect.
This is the craziest shit I've ever heard.
Yeah.
You gotta tell us.
So when I was leaving San Diego, obviously, like, what do you do when you're in San Diego? You go to the beach, okay? You go to the beach all the time. I was at the beach all the time. I lived in a bikini. It was just...
Everybody
That's my lifestyle. That's the San Diego
did.
lifestyle. So when I left San Diego, I announced it on Instagram, and my friend Casey took this cute photo of me at the beach. It was nothing provocative. I was wearing a Target brand bathing suit. I was just walking on the beach.
Such a cute picture.
It was a message saying, I enjoyed my time in San Diego, but I'm going back home to Phoenix. Well, people in the news industry were appalled by that image of me in appropriate attire.
I still don't get it.
In the appropriate place to be wearing a bikini, walking on the beach, and my credibility came into question because I wore a bikini to the beach. So
weird.
The management was on the phone with me ahead of time saying, we saw this image and we have concerns. And
like right away? They called you right away?
Because what happened was there are TV news bloggers, and they started posting it, and it just was ugly. Everyone was saying that I was a bimbo, that I was a joke. because I wore a bikini to the beach.
And
that somehow equated to me not knowing how to do the weather.
I know, like something of, I'm not going to get my weather from somebody with fake
boobs
or
yeah.
something.
Like, so,
what is going on, people?
You know, we talk about the body dysmorphia journey and the comfort in our body. Well, I had gotten to this place where I was comfortable with my body.
Yeah.
And then the go-to news outlet, newspaper, website, published an article about a transition of, you know, who was going to be doing the weather at this station, and posted my bikini picture and then put it on their Facebook page, and people were ripping me apart. And I can read these comments. And yeah, one of the women that commented on this post, she was like, I'm not going to let, you know, this woman into my home on my TV and her fake boobs. And like, I went on and I was like, well, I hope you take comfort in knowing they're not fake or something.
Yeah.
Like,
I just want to call her
even
up and
if
say,
they were,
P.S. She's the only one that has real boobs. I hate to break it to you, lady. I mean, come on. And who cares? None of your fucking business.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
So, you know, I had gone through all these body image struggles, and then to have to sit there and look at comments of me being ripped apart. So the station then has all these concerns. I'm so embarrassed. I'm like, oh my gosh, my career is over. I'm mortified. And it's just, you know, this is the thing that women have to go through that men don't. It's just such a damn distraction. I'm just trying to live my life and do my job, and now I have all this bullshit to worry about.
Well, why do you think they posted it? Because they knew exactly what people were going to do.
Clickbait.
It's all about the clickbait. It's all about the ratings. It's all about what you can get people to talk about and be upset about. That's how they get their ratings.
And it worked, because apparently it was so outrageous that I would wear a Target bikini to the beach in San Diego.
I mean, I can't believe, how do you live with yourself? Wear a swimming suit to the beach? I mean, it's disgusting.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm a wild woman. So
you should be in jail.
The station had these concerns about me. Now they've seen my resume tape,
obviously, and have already hired you.
I've always dressed like very girl next door. I'm stylish, but like nothing. I'm
not flashy.
There's
no cleavage,
and I see it as a privilege that people are bringing me into their home with a TV on, and I respect that. Yes. And I've always kept that in mind when choosing my wardrobe. And so the station has concerns, and now this is something that they do for everyone. They have a consultant work with you at a lot of stations before you go on air. This is a common thing in the industry. But for me, I go shopping with this consultant, and she tells me I have to cut my hair. She tells me I have to do certain things. And most of them, I was like, whatever. I did cut my hair, by the way. They told me to cut my hair. I did cut my hair. But she took me to a lingerie shop, and we went bra shopping.
Like a bra? You need a consultant?
I'm like a 30-year-old woman at this point, Karen.
I mean, come on.
It's embarrassing. And so the assumption here on my end is like, okay, well, they were worried that you could see that in a bikini. I guess they're worried about, I don't know, I guess I need to like conceal myself or like downplay this part of my body. I think that was the goal.
Here, wear a sports bra? I mean, what?
Yeah.
Is that the goal?
I think that was the goal, was to really minimize. I guess we'll use the word minimize.
Okay.
And for the first time in my life, now I've told these people I would cut my hair, but when it came to the bra, I said no. I said I gotta have my own bras. No. It was mortifying. I'm an adult. I didn't need that.
I don't need my mommy taking me shopping.
Yeah, it was like, it kind of made me uncomfortable.
So weird.
So I said no.
You.
I said no.
For the first time.
It was the first time in my career, probably in my life, where I was like, no, I don't have to do what you are telling me to do. That does not make me worthy of this job. This has nothing to do with my job.
Even after thousands of people are just like totally ripping your photo apart too.
Yeah,
it took a lot of courage. Do you think maybe that actually helped you?
Maybe because you kind of get to that place where you're like, well, you're not going to take me seriously anyway. So what do I have to prove to you? If you're the wrong audience, you're the wrong audience. Bra. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or whatever.
And they weren't buying it for me. It was going to be my own money.
You had to pay for it.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
So maybe that ended up being like a good thing.
Yeah.
For your like strength. People are ridiculous.
Yeah.
So how about I'm just going to buy my own bras? Thanks.
You really do get to that point where you're like, I can't convince people who are committed to misunderstanding me.
It's so true.
That I'm worthy of them changing their mind.
Whatever.
You know, I don't care if you change your mind.
Yeah.
The most disturbing part of all of it, Karen, is how I was just on the beach doing my thing, living my life, and it was so sexualized.
So gross.
It became about my boobs. It became about my body. That's disgusting.
It
is. If you are going to see someone just doing their activities and you are going to sexualize that, there is something going on with you.
There's something wrong with you.
That has nothing to do with me. I'm literally just on the beach. Now, you know, I'm on the beach with my son. I'm at the pool with my son in a bikini. Like, and I have these thoughts like, should I be worried about this? Like, do people think that I'm a bad mom because I'm in a bikini? And I have to like suppress those thoughts because of what I've been through, because you know that people are judging you and sexualizing you, and it's sick.
It is sick.
It's like women are just trying to feel comfortable, and it's not easy to do that in a bikini. And to then have this peanut gallery of people saying that you're being inappropriate. The bikini was purchased at Target. Have you seen what they sell?
It's just a suit. It's a swimming suit.
Yeah.
Well, I love that, because I'm glad you're telling me the story again, because the second time around, I'm thinking that was actually probably a blessing. If all of us could just throw a picture out on a freaking Facebook page of us in a swimming suit and have 90,000 people rip us to shreds.
You faced your worst fear.
We would face our worst fear. And then we would live, because you didn't die. And you would see how ridiculous and how cruel people are only behind their screen. They would never say that to your face. And then you would learn that it doesn't fucking matter.
And you can survive it. Yeah.
You lived. Nobody died.
Oh my gosh. That's such a wild and accurate way to think about it, Karen.
I didn't think of that until just now.
Yeah. And again, it goes back to that's freedom.
Wow.
I've survived people ripping apart my body in a public forum in ways that I could see it. You know, I'm sure people did that when I was doing the weather and I couldn't hear them.
It's just their insecurity about themselves. Again, it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
Again, even though it's about you, I mean, what kind of person would you have to be?
Yeah, that projection is unhealthy.
To say hateful things to a young woman. Yeah. It's just, it has nothing to do with you and all about them.
Yeah.
And
but I survived it.
It's good.
I did it.
I know. Thinking that was probably pretty good.
And you know what? It's a cute picture. And I like that picture.
It's so cute.
And I like that Target
bikini.
Me.
And I'm like, you look adorable. And you look great. You should be proud of yourself.
My body's slightly different since I had a baby, but we still love it because it takes me on hikes and carries babies.
Baby. Yeah. You have superpowers.
Yes. Amen.
So. All right, so you lived. Nobody died.
Nobody died. And so I did that
fire
job.
You.
No.
Okay,
no.
good.
And you know what? I wore my wardrobe I already had.
Yeah.
And
good.
I looked
good for you. And
I
you
looked
said no.
appropriate and professional.
Of course you did.
I wore my undergarments I already had too. And it was a huge success. It was a huge success. I got promoted in multiple ways, given more opportunities. And it was a beautiful ride until I stepped away from news in 2021 and became a full-time freelancer, which wasn't that hard of a transition because I had started my business as a content creator and blogger in 2017. And when I was in San Diego, I was actually, you're not allowed to do freelancing in the market, but I was keeping my toe dipped in the water
in other cities
to do commercial work and stuff back in Phoenix.
Nice.
So that I had that resume, still fresh.
Yeah. That was smart.
So it was easy to transition out of that in 2021.
When you say you were a blogger, did you have a written blog or just a
I had
video
a written blog? I still have
Really?
it actually. It's herewithher.com and it's all about adventuring. So it started all about hiking. So it was really to empower other women to get into the outdoors, hence Here With Her. And so I started writing about my hiking and camping and gear and advice. And
you still do?
I do, yeah. I haven't written a blog post in a while, but I'm actually writing this one this week about camping with kids and some of my tips because I take my son car camping with me.
Yeah.
And some of the things that I do to make sure he's comfortable and feels very at home and doesn't feel out of place.
Camping in your Burge Toyota
in my
4Runner, by the way.
Toyota 4Runner Rugged Trail Series, baby.
It's a Rugged Trail Series.
It's Lunar Rock. It's so sick. When I trade it in, you should come buy it.
So freaking sick.
It is sick.
Yeah, she'll be trading it
It's
any
my
minute.
favorite thing ever.
No, it is sick.
I'm not trading it in yet, Karen.
I know. We'll get her. I'll get her to trade in early. Don't worry. Don't worry about it.
Only for a Sequoia. That's
know.
my next upgrade, mom camping machine.
They're
so badass. Like,
They really are.
I would feel like the coolest mom ever in a Sequoia.
Gosh.
I already feel cool in the
Speaking
4Runner,
of,
but-
please make us more cars. Why can't they make us some more Sequoias?
I know.
Everybody wants one. It's
So Karen and I work together.
So that's how we met, because we hired her to be our spokesperson for Burge Toyota, and she's phenomenal. And we just had so much fun getting to know each other.
Yeah, we've had a
I had
blast.
to bring her on, because you've had such an incredible journey. So
Yeah,
I wanted
and
you to share it.
What's been really cool too for me is that, you take a job as a spokesperson to share the story of the organization, but you guys have been so awesome about wanting to tap into my passions. Cause I already had,
easy. You make it so easy.
well, I had a 4Runner.
Yeah, you already
before
did.
my super badass 4Runner that I have now, I had a regular 4Runner and I was already camping in it and off-roading in it and everything.
Yeah.
But
such a perfect fit.
for you guys to ask me about my hobbies and want to share how I'm using my car, like that makes it such a dream job.
So fun.
I love, we've been doing these videos on some of our pre-owned cars that we have. And that is a freaking blast for me too, because I love learning about cars and I love like nerding out with our team, because they are so well informed on these cars.
Oh, yeah.
Like a car could only be on the lot for like 4 hours and they can rattle off every fact about this car. And so it's so fun for me to tap into that passion and be able to talk about cars that are going to be somebody's dream car. So it's been so freaking cool for me. And
So cool.
to transition out of news where, I was on camera and I was doing reporting.
Yeah.
It's the same but different. It's like I was reporting on God knows what before, and now it's like we get to talk about something that is so cool, and it's somebody's dream car that's going to make them so happy, and that's just fun content every time.
Well, there's two things I want to say about that. That every single thing that you have done for the past, 12, 15 years in journalism has prepared you for creating the life that you really wanted. And so you're using every skill you learned
Literally.
and practiced for 12 years to become a spokesperson, content creator, create videos for other people, and they pay you to make videos for them. And now you get to talk about what you love.
Yeah, and it goes back to what I
so
said in the
cool.
very beginning, is like I was able to say no to opportunities that didn't sound fun to me to free me up to do these things that I'm so passionate about.
That's also a really important piece of it.
Yeah.
And did you do that intentionally?
I did and I didn't. I would say, early on it was just, what do I have time for?
Yeah.
And so things kind of filter themselves out.
Yeah.
But now I'm very intentional about it. Yeah. And you learn too in business that, in content creation is a business. Influencing is a business.
Absolutely.
You know what? One of the things that I've noticed is like when somebody wants to be cheap up front, they're going to make your life a living hell. They're going to be the worst client you've ever had because they don't see your value up front.
No.
So you're going to be trying to prove your value the whole time. And they're cutting corners. And so they're going to be scrimping here, scrimping there. They're probably not going to be as focused as somebody who has more skin in the game. And so it's made it really easy for me to say no to things. So like I have a hard, for content creation, a lot of people will try to do a trade with you. And so for me, I'm like, is this a product I really, really want? And how much money is it worth? I will say though, I did just accept, I would never do this. I'm doing a video for $300, which I would never do. I charge much more than that. The reason why is because they're sending me this like robot mop sweeper thing that's worth like $1,000. And
like
I was like,
Roomba on steroids?
kind of, yeah. And I was like, yeah, I want that. So sometimes my business decisions and what I say yes or no to come down to just like on a whim, like, yeah, I really want that. Like sometimes I'm like, am I the worst entrepreneur ever? I should be charging so much more than this, but I really want that thing.
If you really wanted it,
I'm like, now I know it is out
like
there, and I think I can't live without it.
It's hilarious. Have you gotten it yet?
No, but I'm so excited. Like, I'm excited to make the video about it. That's why it's worth doing for $300. Because I'm like, I already know this thing is going to change my life. So doing it for $300 when I would normally charge more doesn't feel like a drain. Yeah. It's when saying yes feels like a drain, and I'm going to be pissed off, and I'm going to resent the process.
Well, you've learned how to just tap into your intuition.
Yeah. Totally.
You're excited about it. That's how you know it's right.
Yeah.
It's like, I totally want to do that.
You know that I love being a caretaker, so clean floors. Let's go, baby.
Let's go. Someone else to clean the floors? Even better. Best.
Yep.
That's
super
hilarious.
Excited. Gosh. But business is a wild ride. You are a content creator, you know. It's up to you to make things happen, and it's up to you to make all of the hard decisions, and no one is going to make you get out of bed and go do the work. You have to really, really want it. And I really, really, really do want the life that I have now. And so, you know, we work together, and you and the team at Burge are my top client. You are my whatever you want. I'm there. You get it. And you guys are so good to me that it's just so natural. And when you work with people who treat you well, it really goes back to how I was treated at the AG's office. When you work with people who treat you well and who are professional, it makes you such a better business owner because you've now seen this higher caliber way of operating, and you're not willing to settle for less than that. And that has changed my life. Like, it gives me chills to think about how having good clients and good bosses has truly changed my life and my business and my whole future. Right. So, say no to the shitty stuff. Like, say no to it. If it's going to drain you, if the people are going to be crappy to you, don't do it.
Yeah. And also, you will be filling up your schedule with the stuff that you don't want.
Yeah.
And you know, available
yes,
for the good stuff that you
and
really
you know
want.
that for me, it's so important to me that I have time for the outdoors. It saved my life. When I had interstitial cystitis, and before I was able to get the treatment, what pulled me into even the place of not crying in the shower every day and being able to go to work at the AG's office in a high-powered job, especially for a 26-year-old, and then get back on TV in San Diego. What got me through that was that I decided to go hiking again. Yeah. And I had a pair of boots that I hadn't worn because I got them right around the time that this pain started. Yeah. And I remember looking at them and being like, oh, I guess I'll never wear those again. And then kind of checking myself and being like, wait a minute. Like, I could still do this. And, like, I'm going to be in pain either way. The pain isn't going anywhere. So am I just going to throw away everything that I love, or am I going to push through this pain and do it anyways? And when I pushed through the pain and got out on the trails, it literally gave me my will to live. That is not a dramatic statement. It is, I found my will to live. I found my will to fight for my future. I finally found something worth going through all that shit for. Because sometimes in life, you know, I've been through divorce. You have to try to focus on what you want your life to look like and know that it's going to be worth what you're going through right now. Yeah. And as I started thinking about hiking more and learning more about national parks and different places I could go, I thought, I want to go there. I want to go to Havasupai. I want to hike Half Dome. That's worth living for. That's worth going through this for. And it changed my whole life. And so I make the outdoors my priority for my family, for my son, because I know that it is a free mental health resource. It is something that will be there for us on our hardest days. Amen. So the hiking, the camping, the paddleboarding, it's not just fun. It truly is
therapy.
It is therapy.
Absolutely. I totally agree. For so many reasons.
Yeah.
But I think making that, what you're saying also, I think, because I just want to make this point, is that putting those things in, you have to fill your cup up first. Everybody says, fill up your cup so that you can help other people. And it's kind of cliche now and blah, blah, blah. But it's so important. Yeah. That is what you love. It brings you the most amount of joy, and respite
Yeah.
from your worries, respite from your pain, and all of the things. You have to schedule those in. Make those a priority. Make it first. Even if you live in Arizona, get out at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's really not that hard. It's beautiful
Plan to
at 5
go on
o'clock.
a drive.
Whatever it is.
Whatever it is
that you love. It's so important to put those in and make yourself do it. Even if you're in pain, even if you are struggling, because you know what? You'll actually feel better.
You will feel better. And that's the thing is it seems so counterintuitive, but it's true.
Just want to lay in bed.
And you have to get out and you have to feel the sun on your skin and hear the birds singing and feel the breeze and hear the crunch of your feet on the rocks. And it just does something that
I agree.
That while I need the medication can't give me that. Nothing can give me the high that I get outdoors.
God gave it to us.
Yes.
I totally agree. Amen. Thank you, God.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I love this so much. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime. We'll just meet weekly if you don't mind.
I would love that actually.
It's gonna be the Kristen Karen
what
show
can we
now.
talk about next? Everything.
Oh, there's so many things that we could talk about, but we'll save it for another episode.
Well, thank you so much.
You're
this
so
has been a
welcome.
blast.
Tell people how they can find you.
Oh, you can find me on Instagram at Kristen Keogh, KristenKeogh, Facebook.com/Keogh online. And those are really the primary two. The blog is herewithher.com. If you are a female adventurer, even if you're a guy too, please check it out if you feel intimidated by the outdoors, because my whole goal with this project has always been to let you know that everyone is welcome in the outdoors and that even if it seems intimidating, you can figure it out and I'm going to help you.
Okay, wait. So how many national parks have you been to so far?
Oh my gosh, I don't even count, but
You don't count?
No, but I'm a nerd, you guys. I have the little passport book that you stamp.
You did get one of those? I see it every time I go to a park.
I'm such a nerd. It's the nerdiest thing about me. I have to take a picture with the sign.
Yes.
So I just went to Glacier National Park and the picture that I got with the sign, it's so funny, Karen. I'm like this. I'm like, it's like get somebody who looks at you the way I look at a national park sign. The picture, I'm like this at the sign. And I'm like, I'm such a loser. This is dark. Yeah.
That's why we like you so much.
It is an obsession.
I am totally obsessed.
But
too.
I think it's a very healthy obsession.
There's got to be a book out there that has all the national parks where you can check them all off. Because like I have one for all 50 states.
Oh,
you
yeah,
write it in.
yeah.
Every day is a different state. Like we're gonna knock them all off. But we want to knock off all of the national parks too.
I'm gonna try. I know you guys can do it.
Well, when I find a book, I'll send you one.
Okay, sounds
I know
good.
there has to be one. I'm sure there is. Anyway, thank you so much. And thank you, listeners, for being here. Listeners/watchers, if you're on YouTube, thank you. I really appreciate for being here. God bless you. And just remember that you can create any life that you want. It's just one day at a time. God bless you.